Let's have a look at this passage from Act 2, Scene 1 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Oberon explains to Puck how this flower got its magical powers of being able to make people fall in love with each other. Essentially, Cupid is flying along one night. He sees somebody that he wants to shoot with his arrow because Cupid's arrows cause people to fall in love. Cupid fires, but misses. The arrow falls down, lands on a flower. That flower becomes a flower with the magical property of being able to make people fall in love with people. The thing about this passage that strikes me is just simply how absolutely beautiful it is. It begins with Oberon setting the scene for what happened here. He says, "My gentle Puck, come hither. Thou rememberest, since once I sat upon a promontory and heard a mermaid on a dolphin's back uttering such dulcet and harmonious breath that the rude sea grew civil at her song, and certain stars shot madly from their spheres to hear the sea maid's music." The device that makes this, in my opinion, particularly beautiful is sibilance. It's the repeated S sound, and that begins right in this set of lines here. The rude sea grew civil at her song, and certain stars shot madly from their spheres to hear the sea maid's music. In addition to the sibilance, to the repeated S sounds, we also have personification. The sea, which was rude, became civil because of it. And, to top that off, stars came down to hear it. Certain stars shot madly from their spheres to hear the sea maid's music, as if the music were so beautiful that even the stars wanted to fall to the earth to hear it. Then Oberon describes Cupid flying through the air. The way he describes the air is particularly wonderful in this case, I think. He describes Cupid's arrow as being on fire. He says, "But I might see young Cupid's fiery shaft quenched in the chaste beams of the watery moon." So the moonlight is liquid-y, or seems to be like water, compared to the shaft of Cupid's arrow, which seems to be on fire. Another interesting thing about this passage, and what makes it sort of stand out perhaps more than any of the others, is in addition to having a classical allusion, here we're alluding to Cupid, and that story is from classical mythology, but we also have a contemporary allusion. So the contemporary allusion is this maiden at a fair vestal throned by the west. Well, this fair vestal is, if you look at the history of the time, when Shakespeare wrote the play, Queen Elizabeth was still on the throne in England. And she may have been in the audience for at least one performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So here she is. She was known as the Virgin Queen. She never got married. And here's Cupid shooting at a crowned maiden. So it's a clear reference directly to Queen Elizabeth. And that maiden walked on fancy-free. Well, of course, we know that Queen Elizabeth never got married. She never was struck by Cupid's arrow. So we have a little in-joke for Queen Elizabeth, who was probably in the audience at the time. For all of those reasons, I think that this passage is really a delight to pay attention to. Hope you enjoyed it.